The aloof CEO's company went bankrupt and is under liquidation. Everyone thought a sycophant like me would abandon her, and then laugh at us both. Are you kidding me? Am I the kind of person who lets others laugh at them? I refuse to give them the satisfaction. Of course, the main reason is that I've soul transmigrated into this body of the villainous male supporting character. I know the plot inside out. I clearly remember the description of my aloof, beautiful CEO wife in the book. She was modeled after Lou Swecki. Even her name is Lou Swecki. Just based on her looks and figure, I'd even be willing to beg on the streets. However, the plot described the original me quickly abandoning my wife. Then, Lou Swecki rises from adversity to become the richest person in the Asia-Pacific region. Many people, trying to curry favor with her, turn against me. In the end, I not only end up homeless, but also get beaten up frequently by gangs of hoodlums. All I could do was gaze at the moon and sing. Chrysanthemum petals fall, scattering sorrow everywhere. Flowers wither as hearts break. Thinking of that scene, I couldn't help but shiver. Click the door to the rented apartment was pushed open, and a physically and mentally exhausted Lou Swecki walked in. The moment she saw me, her face showed desolation and sorrow. Then, she handed me a document, the divorce agreement. Sign it and you'll be free. You don't have to suffer with me. I'll send the child to the countryside. Taking the divorce papers, I tore them to shreds without even looking at them. Gazing at Lou Swecki's stunning face, I reached out with trembling hands to embrace her slender waist, my eyes firm. I won't divorce you. I'll take full responsibility for the child, too. No matter how difficult things get for our family, I will always protect you and the child. Are you out of your mind? Do you know what you're saying? Lou Swecki's delicate brows furrowed slightly, her dark, bright eyes filled with confusion. Holding her shoulders, our eyes met. I'll say it again, I absolutely will not get a divorce. Lou Swecki was stunned for a second, then turned her head away. Perhaps she couldn't figure out why. Just a few hours ago, I had suddenly demanded a divorce, and now my attitude was completely different. Lou Swecki shook her head helplessly. Stop playing games. I really am bankrupt. Except for a little living money, everything else has been seized. I have no money for you. Pestering me is useless. Ding dong. A message arrived on the phone. Frowny-faced reporters are downstairs, heading to the apartment door now. Looking around the old, dilapidated, small, and shabby apartment, it was nevertheless clean and tidy thanks to Lou Swecki. Even bankrupt, she wasn't willing to live carelessly, trying her best to provide a decent life for me and the child. Unfortunately, her original husband, which is me now, Yi Fan, in order to force her to agree to the divorce, had smashed all the pots and pans in the room to pieces and then called the reporters. I really worry about the original owner's intelligence. A beautiful woman like Lou Swecki, who has weathered great storms, is devoted and family-oriented. An SSR-level woman like her is impossible to find even with a lantern, yet he actively pushed her away. But things are different now. I too can experience the joy of Chow Chow. From now on, I will be the one to protect Lou Swecki and this family. I quickly started cleaning up the room, while saying sincerely to Lou Swecki, I was a bastard before. I did so many awful things. It won't happen again. Our family must stay together. If we have money, we live a rich life. If we don't, we live a poor life. Lou Swecki still looked completely bewildered. Yi Fan, do you have objections regarding the division of marital assets? Then, her voice held a hint of a sob and pleading. The money left in the card is only enough for living expenses, and I still have to take care of parents and the child. I really have no money left to give you. Who would have thought that the woman who once stood at the pinnacle, high in the clouds, would now humble herself like this over a little money? Only towards her husband, Yi Fan, would she show such vulnerability. Damn that original owner. My heart ached for her, and I wanted to give her a hug. Not to take advantage, I must clarify, but the noisy bustle from outside the door interrupted my thoughts. It must be the reporters we had arranged who arrived. The original plan was for me to smash a vase as a signal, and then they would all rush in. Of course, I couldn't do that now. As I walked toward the door, Lou Swecki looked a little worried. Had the debt collectors come after us? She followed me anxiously. When the group outside was waiting for my signal, I suddenly pulled the door open, leaving everyone staring at each other in stunned silence. One quick-witted reporter was the first to speak up. "Mr. E, we heard arguing and the sound of things breaking inside just now. Were the two of you fighting? Is it true, as the rumors say, that you're planning to divorce?" The corner of my right lip curled into a roguish smirk. Seeing this, the reporters finally felt a weight lift off their shoulders. "Thank you all for your concern about my family matters. I believe everyone is aware of the difficulties my wife and I are facing. I will stand by her side through thick and thin. You've all worked hard. Please go back now." The reporters outside, loaded with their cameras and equipment, exchanged bewildered glances. This wasn't part of the script. Lou Swecki was also dumbfounded, her eyes darting between me and the reporters. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't fathom why I'd say such noble and inspiring words. She had only been gone for less than 2 hours. How had her husband become a completely different person? I waved my hand dismissively at the crowd of reporters before slamming the door shut with a bang. Lou Swecki stared at me in confusion, about to ask a question. Just as I was preparing to deliver another impassioned speech, my phone on the coffee table rang at the most inopportune moment. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw it was Lou Ryan calling, but the call ended after just one ring. Probably a reminder to check my messages. I walked over to read the text, making sure Lou Swecki wouldn't see it. Turning to head toward the window, I accidentally stepped on a shard of glass barefoot. The sharp pain made me reflexively jerk back. At the same time, the phone slipped from my hand and slid right to Lou Swecki's feet. Damn it. Sure enough, Lou Swecki stared at the screen for a few seconds, long enough to read the message. "You fan, have you lost your mind? The reporters are here, and instead of smearing Lou Swecki, you're putting on a show of affection with her? Are you out of your goddamn mind?" After reading it, she looked up at me, her face a mix of fury and disbelief. The confusion in her heart suddenly made sense. "No wonder you suddenly changed your tune. You were plotting against me all along, trying to ruin me for good, weren't you?" Without another word, she stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I want to chase after her, but the searing pain in my foot stopped me. Bright red liquid oozed from the sole. After hastily bandaging it, I rushed out, but Lou Swecki was already gone. The original book didn't describe the setting in detail, so I had no idea where to look for her. All I could do was sit by the door and wait. Picking up my phone, I replied to Lou Ryan. "I love my wife. I've told you before. I won't help you frame her. I'm staying to build a good life with her." Ding dong. "You fan, are you on drugs? Don't you realize what kind of situation Lou Swecki is in right now? Even some random foot massage girl would be better than her. What kind of life could you possibly have with her?" After reading Lou Ryan's reply, I fired back. "Go live happily with your G-Boda, and don't bother me again. If I catch you messing with my wife, don't blame me for turning on you." Lou Ryan immediately responded, "Dumbass. Gotta say, the word dumbass perfectly replaces all those outdated insults like fool, idiot, or scumbag. It's just on another level." My temper flared instantly, so I called her and unleashed a torrent of curses. In the end, Lou Ryan couldn't keep up and hung up, blocking me afterward. With my frustration vented, I slipped on my slippers and started cleaning up the room. One advantage of a small house is that it's quick and easy to tidy up. The biggest hassle was the broken glass on the floor. The floor wasn't level, making it tricky to clean up the tiny shards. Some even had to be picked out from the cracks. By the time I had mostly finished cleaning, I looked out the window, and the sky had already turned dark. Lou Swecki still hadn't returned, though, and I was getting a little hungry. Given our current financial situation, ordering takeout was definitely out of the question. Opening the fridge, I found eggs and some greens. I decided to make do with those and some instant noodles that cost 1.5 yuan a pack. Right, Lou Swecki would need to eat too. I added 2 packs. Just as I placed the noodles on the dining table, the door was pushed open. Lou Swecki walked in, clutching a new divorce agreement. She slapped it directly onto the table with a thud, her tone icy. "Sign it." Without even looking at it, I pushed a bowl of noodles towards her. "They're freshly made. You're back just in time. Hurry up and eat the noodles. If I have time tomorrow, I'll go to the market and buy some proper groceries. It's too late now, so we'll have to make do with this." Lou Swecki stared at me. "Sign it." and you'll have your freedom back. I stood up, looking down at her, my gaze firm as I stared into her eyes. I'll say it again. I am not getting a divorce. Lou Swecky sighed helplessly. Weren't you the one demanding a divorce? Now that I'm asking you to sign, you refuse. What exactly are you thinking? Just say it clearly all at once. I pressed my lips together, looking at Lou Swecky, my tone even. If you must know, I've had an epiphany. I don't want a divorce anymore. I'll change all my old bad habits. Let's live properly together. Lou Swecky stared at me intently, unblinking, trying to find some hint in my eyes. But right then, my gaze was clear and bright, my emotions sincere and nuanced, completely different from my previous arrogant, spoiled brat persona. Although it was the same face to Lou Swecky, I no longer seemed to have that sharp, cutting demeanor from before. All right, Lou Swecky sighed, finally speaking her mind. But staying with me means you'll only have a hard life ahead, never knowing where the next meal is coming from. Even knowing that, you still decide not to divorce. I gently pushed her down into the chair, handed her the bowl and chopsticks, and sat across from her, smiling. No divorce. Absolutely no divorce. You need to have faith in yourself, get back to your peak. When that happens, you can carry me to victory. I'll start looking for a job tomorrow. Leave the housework to me, and I'll figure out how to cover our daily expenses. My words were sincere, coming straight from the heart. After reassessing me, the cold expression on Lou Swecky's face softened. I picked up the divorce agreement from the table, tore it up again, and threw the pieces into the trash can. About the reporter, it was all a misunderstanding. My original plan was to pretend to go along with Lou Rian's scheme to slander you, figure out their plan, find evidence, and then turn the tables on them someday. Then, I played the recording of my conversation with Lou Rian. Lou Swecky listened for only a couple of sentences before turning off the recording. She looked down at the sole of my foot. Is it badly hurt? Should we go to the hospital? Her sudden concern left me stunned for a couple of seconds. Then I shook my head. It's minor. I've already treated it. Suddenly, she knelt down, lifted my foot to examine the sole, and saw traces of blood seeping out. She quickly turned to find the first aid kit. She took out iodine antiseptic, carefully checked the wound with a cotton swab, picked out a tiny shard of glass, rinsed the wound with hydrogen peroxide, and then bandaged it up for me with gauze and a bandage. God damn it. Doesn't she know how dangerously alluring the view is when someone with her looks and figure kneels down like that? The original owner of this body was such an idiot. After washing her hands, Lou Swecky sat down across from me and started eating her noodles. I watched the corners of her mouth lift slightly. She seemed to be in a better mood. As we ate, I kept up a constant stream of chatter, a stark contrast to my previously mentioned silence around Lou Swecky. She gave me strange looks several times. After finishing the noodles, Lou Swecky stood up to clear the bowls and chopsticks. I immediately took them from her hands. You've had a long day. Go get some rest. I can handle this. After cleaning up the kitchen, I saw Lou Swecky arranging pillows and a quilt on the living room sofa. Confused, I looked at her. What's wrong? Are you going to sleep on the sofa? She turned around, looking at me with a puzzled expression. Thinking about the original story's plot, I suddenly realized it was all the fault of the original owner of this body. Thinking of this, I pointed to the bedroom. The master bedroom bed is big enough. Let's sleep together. Excited, everyone? I'll soon be able to get close. No, wait. I'm a gentleman. Unlike you dirty-minded folks. Lou Swecky shook her head. I'm used to sleeping on the sofa. You should rest early. I'm going to wash up. Without waiting for my response, Lou Swecky walked towards the bathroom, leaving me alone to sigh as I watched her figure. Thinking about it again, it makes sense. We were estranged for so long. It's understandable she can't accept this sudden change. With this thought, I tidied up the sofa for her and added a fluffy blanket. Then I went back to the bedroom to sleep, leaving the door slightly ajar. Hearing Lou Swecky come out of the bathroom, I peeked over and saw her pause for a moment upon seeing the added blanket and back cushion on the sofa. The next morning, I prepared breakfast for both of us. While eating breakfast, Lou Swecky said, I'll probably be busy until quite late today. You can eat dinner by yourself. Don't worry about me. After hastily finishing breakfast, Lou Swecky went out and got into a black car downstairs. Her secretary, Fong Lan, was very surprised after learning about yesterday's events. Ms. Lou, do you mean Mr.? He doesn't want a divorce anymore. Has he suddenly grown a conscience? Lou Swecky glanced towards the rented apartment out of the corner of her eye and snorted coldly. Is that possible? Fong Lan frowned, thinking for a second, then shook her head. Based on his past behavior, it's unlikely he's had a change of heart. He probably has some hidden agenda, maybe planning to scheme against you. Lou Swecky looked at the file in her hand expressionlessly. No rush, let's wait and see. He's not very cunning and has no patience. He'll probably show his true colors soon enough. I was already tricked by him into marriage and having a child. I won't fall for it a second time. Back home, unaware of all this, I just started cleaning up. Then I gathered all the expensive watches, accessories, shoes, and clothes Lou Swecky had given me before, preparing to sell them. After taking some stage photos, I posted them on a secondhand platform and then started browsing online. My original self was also a shut-in, usually just liking things like novels and music. After discovering that the hugely popular novels from my original world didn't exist here, a wicked idea sparked in my mind. I spent the whole day writing down the outlines and detailed synopses of phenomenal novels from my original world, then started expanding on them in detail. Back then, the phrase "never bully a young man for being poor" got so many people fired up. By the time I finished, it was almost dark. Someone from a professional platform came to collect the luxury goods. After appraisal, they finally offered me $2 million. Thinking back, buying all these originally cost over $10 million. Well, what can you do? Lou Swecky is like a tiger stranded on flat ground now. Just as the person was packing everything into large and small bags, Lou Swecky happened to come home. The collector said regretfully, "Miss, your husband is selling these cheap. The economy isn't good this year, so the depreciation is severe. If you waited a couple of years to buy them back, their value could more than double. Sir, please hurry up and leave once you're done packing. My doorway is small. You're blocking it so my wife can't even get in." After entering, Lou Swecky stared at me wide-eyed, clearly finding it hard to believe that these collections I used to treasure were now all being sold off cheaply. I stuffed the bank card into her hand. Sold everything for $2 million. I know it's just a drop in the bucket compared to the funds you need, but I'll find more ways to earn money. Lou Swecky stood there stunned, murmuring, "Why are you doing this? You're my wife. Isn't it natural for us to support each other?" Lou Swecky pointed at the collector about to enter the elevator. "But those things, you treated them as preciously as your own life. You said it yourself, those are just things. They can't compare to you at all." Lou Swecky was completely baffled by my slick move, momentarily unsure of what to say. I brought the cooked dishes to the table. As a dedicated homebody, having some cooking skills is essential. Lou Swecky washed her hands and started eating. When she took the first bite of the scallion beef stir-fry, her eyes instantly lit up. "Delicious. I didn't expect your cooking to be this good." I cleared my throat slightly. I just followed a video tutorial. Seems I have quite a talent for this. Hurry up and eat. It'll get too greasy when it cools down. After dinner, Lou Swecky was about to wash the dishes, but I pushed her aside gently. "You've been tired all day. Go wash up and sleep." She tried to argue back a little. "I'm not tired, not sleepy at all." But an uncontrollable yawn escaped her, making them look at each other and smile. After clearing the dishes, Lou Swecky brought out a quilt and pillow to make up the sofa. Seeing her practice movements, she must have slept on the sofa quite often. Mentally cursing my former self, I grabbed her arm. "Sleeping on the sofa can easily give you back pain or a stiff neck. Go sleep in the bedroom." She tried to resist again, but with her slight build, how could she possibly win against me? In the end, I pushed her onto the master bedroom bed. "Didn't you say you were used to sleeping alone, and that me lying next to you would disturb you?" I really wanted to slap myself. Such an otherworldly beauty, and the previous Eve fan kept his distance? Was he lacking in male hormones or something? I waved my hand dismissively. I was just being needlessly fussy before. That's nonsense. Where's the logic in a married couple always sleeping apart? From now on, we'll sleep together. Relationships are built in bed. Lou Swecky tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, her large eyes filled with confusion and a strange expression. It seemed I had just said something rather outrageous. Feeling like I was only making things worse by trying to explain, I had Lou Swecky lie down, tucked her in, and went back to the living room to tidy up. Glancing back sneakily at Lou Swecky, her breathing was even and gentle. She must have fallen asleep. I closed the bedroom door, went to the living room, sent the first 10,000 words I had written based on the outline to my editor, and waited for a reply. In the following period, Lou Swecky spent most of her time rushing around for work, while I stayed home, typing away furiously despite risking tendinitis. It just goes to show the essence of these power fantasy novels is instant gratification. In just 3 months, I finished a 2 million-word novel. Leveraging the advantages from my original world, I managed to scrape together a large sum of money for Lou Swecky. And Lou Swecky truly lived up to her reputation as a former business prodigy. In just a few short months, she rose from the ashes, quickly regaining prominence in Shanghai's business circles. However, she spent increasingly more time away from home. It even became common for her not to return for half a month. Although our relationship had warmed up somewhat, I had this faint, unsettling feeling of insecurity. It seemed she still held a trace of wariness towards me in her heart. Given the current trajectory, it wouldn't be long before Lou Swecky's net worth surpassed even her previous peak. Even a homebody like me would hear heaps of praise for her when occasionally attending business receptions. Even if I sat in a corner, people would approach me, saying, "Mr. Yi, you truly have remarkable foresight." Although it was praise, I have some social anxiety, so I plan to leave early. As I turned to leave, however, I ran into Lou Swecky. She walked up to me with a smile, handing me an invitation card. "Yi fan, the company is going public in 2 days. I want to invite you to ring the bell with me. You'll come, right?" I was startled. Lou Swecky's rise was even faster than I had imagined. I strongly suspected that I hadn't completely won her over yet. This must be the source of the persistent sense of unease I couldn't quite place. I took the invitation from her hand. It was gold-stamped, numbered A0001. "I'll try my best to be there." Lou Swecky's smile was beautiful yet unsettling. "Not try your best. You must be there. I have something to tell you then." Looking into her deep eyes and hearing her solemn, serious tone, I couldn't help but wonder. This woman isn't planning to tear down the bridge after crossing it, is she? Thinking of this, I couldn't help but take a deep breath. I nodded and said, "All right, I'll definitely be home then." Lou Swecky walked away, satisfied. As for me, I hurried home to pack my bags and booked a flight abroad overnight. When the new company was established, I received a significant number of shares. The annual dividends would be transferred directly to me. Once it went public, my net worth was bound to skyrocket. Lou Swecky, that uncertain element, had to be eliminated. Besides, the original owner had deceived her many times. One more time for me wouldn't make a difference. On the day the company went public, nearly all the entrepreneurs and socialites in Modu came to attend. Thinking back to when the Lou family went bankrupt, Lou Swecky's relatives had all transferred their assets and fled abroad. Others either kicked them while they were down or secretly tripped them up. Times had changed. The Lou family relatives returned to the country one after another. Former enemies now greeted her with smiles. Lou Swecky held her wine glass, clinking it with everyone one by one, as if these former enemies were old friends. The moment she turned away, the smile vanished from her face. It didn't matter what these two-faced people were like. Human nature was inherently like this. She didn't need to hold high expectations for these people either, except for that person. The one who, when she was at her most helpless, hadn't abandoned her, hadn't given up, and had pulled her out of the abyss. Thinking of him, a smile couldn't help but appear on Lou Swecky's face. She then raised her wrist to check her watch. The celebration banquet was already halfway through, and the listing bell was about to ring soon. Why hadn't Yi Fan arrived yet? Her assistant had just asked as well. Apart from the guest holding invitation 80001, all other guests had arrived. Everyone understood that the invitation number signified the ranking of importance to the company's listing and to Lou Swecky herself. Yet, the person with the number 1 invitation still hadn't shown up. It seemed likely they intended to make a grand entrance at the end. Suddenly, a commotion stirred at the entrance. Someone shouted loudly, "The number 1 guest has arrived." A buzz went through the crowd. Some began discussing in low voices, "Who do you think number 1 is? Does it even need asking? It's obvious it's for her husband, Yi Fan. I guess so too. But if I were Yi Fan, I wouldn't divorce her either. With Lu Sueki's stunning beauty, I want her even if she was bankrupt. Dream on. Back then, she had over 10 billion in enforced liabilities. If you earned $2 working, you'd have to give one to the creditors. Before they could finish speaking, the door was pushed open and a tall, slender figure walked in, drawing all eyes like the moon surrounded by stars. A few Furidai looked and couldn't help exclaiming, "Isn't that Jiboda?" This exclamation reminded everyone of the story before Lu Sueki got married. She and Jiboda were childhood sweethearts. Their families were well matched, and the two had been inseparable since they were young. Whenever Jiboda got into any trouble, Lu Sueki was always the first to rush forward and protect him. A few who sided with Yi Fan muttered curses under their breath. That Lu Sueki is really something else. Yi Fan helped her so much, and in the end, she still picks Jiboda, that opportunist. People around were murmuring intensely, but Lu Sueki seemed oblivious. She simply walked up to Jiboda, looked at the invitation in his hand, and asked, "Where is he?" Jiboda certainly knew who he referred to. However, the corners of his mouth curled up into a sly smile. He walked over to Lu Sueki, leaned close to her ear, and said, "He was the one who told me to come." Lu Sueki clenched her fists, the veins standing out. Releasing her hands, she quickly grabbed her phone, intending to call my number, but my phone number had already been deactivated. Lu Sueki suddenly felt dizzy, as if everything around her was becoming unreal. How could this be happening? Although she had suspected Yi Fan might have ulterior motives, as they had grown closer, she had truly come to regard him as her husband. She had planned to share the joy of her success with him today. Why would Yi Fan just leave without a single word? Watching Jiboda's hypocritical concern, whispers and murmurs arose from the surroundings. Lu Sueki suddenly felt all her efforts had been in vain. Even though she had obtained wealth, status, and power, that person still chose to abandon her. If she had known it would turn out like this, she might as well let everything be destroyed. Far away abroad, I heard that Lu Sueki's company did successfully ring the bell and go public that day. But afterwards, Lu Sueki seemed melancholy. Could this woman be eyeing the shares I hold? But now she has no way to contact me. All I need to do is collect astronomical dividends every year and live a carefree life. Buy a small island, build a villa, swimming pool, bar, and other facilities, and invite 10 female models over every week to play truth or dare with me. Imagine being gazed at affectionately by 10 models, all saying in unison, "Watch you finish your drink." Someone might ask, why not invite 10 models every night? Buddy, I only have 2 kidneys. What normal person could handle that kind of exertion every night? Ring, 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 my phone rang. A glance showed it was my close buddy back home, also my inside source, He Chong. Thanks to him gathering information for me through various channels, I could rest easy. "Fango, where are you?" I glanced at the model beside me. "I'm in a meeting." The long-legged model tactfully brought over 2 glasses of wine. "Handsome, come. Let's cross arms and drink." Suddenly, a pleasant female voice came from the other end. "Say again, you're in a meeting?" The voice sounded a bit familiar. Could it be He Chong's girlfriend? I had to set an example for He Chong. A man can never back down. I immediately retorted, "Isn't a meeting a nightclub still a meeting?" There was a pause on the other end. Then the call was disconnected. The door to the private room was pushed open from the outside, and a slender, graceful figure walked in. I stared blankly at her, unsure when the 10 models had retreated. Perhaps she had commandingly said, "Get out," with her powerful aura upon entering. Lu Sueki, dressed in office attire, sat down opposite me, picked up the dice on the table, and slowly began to shake them. The large private room was unusually quiet, with only the sound of the dice colliding. Being stared at by Lu Sueki made me feel unnerved. I quickly got up, preparing to leave. But as I passed by her, she grabbed my arm. Lu Sueki finally couldn't hold back and said in a low voice, "Husband, why are you avoiding me?" Looking at her slightly reddened eyes, I could only speak my mind. "You've never actually trusted me. You've been investigating me, haven't you? I help you get back to the top. You give me shared dividends. We each take what we need." Astonishment, guilt, and sorrow flashed through Lu Sueki's eyes. Then she choked out a plea. "Play 1 round of dice." If you win, I'll let you go free. If you lose, come back with me. My eyes were fixed on Lou Swecky. As far as I knew, she didn't know how to play dice at all. On the other hand, I was the little prince of the nightclubs. In the past year or so, I had shaken dice at least 10,000 times, reaching the point where I could tell the pips just by listening. How could I refuse such an easy mark delivered right to my door? All right, it's a deal. One round decides win or lose. Saying that, I picked up the 5 dice on the table, put them in the dice cup, shook it forwards, backwards, left, right, up, down, plus a 1,080-degree flip in the air, and finally slammed it down on the table. Lou Swecky simply shook it a few times and put it down. I could hear that I had 4 5s and a 1. If the 1 isn't called, it can count as any number, meaning I had a leopard of 5s, equivalent to 7 5s. Lou Swecky had a straight, which was nothing special. Ladies first. You call. Lou Swecky rested her chin on one hand and looked at me. You play with 10 models every day, you must be more tired. You call first. This woman was definitely up to something, but it wasn't a big problem. 4 5s. Lou Swecky directly opened her dice cup. You win. Come back with me. My eyes widened as I stared at her. What the hell? Didn't you say if I won, you'd let me go free? Lou Swecky blinked her big eyes at me. What do you mean? I said if I lost, you'd have to come back with me. Now I've lost, so there's nothing wrong with that. Watching her approach with a mischievous grin revealing her small canine teeth, I shouted loudly, Help! Kidnapping! Stop shouting. On this small island in the Pacific, even if you scream your lungs out, no one will come save you. Don't make me tie you up with my horse oil socks. I hadn't noticed until Lou Swecky mentioned it, but she was wearing black to gray gradient horse oil socks. In the end, I was carried out of the private room, put on a plane overnight, and shipped back home. As soon as the plane landed, Lou Swecky promised that I would have control of the family finances from now on. Only then did I agree to get off the plane. On the way back home, Hubby, I want to buy a necklace. Go ahead and buy it if you like it. How much is it? I looked nonchalant, the very picture of someone rolling in dough. I dug in my ear and looked at Lou Swecky again. How much? Why the sudden urge to buy a necklace? Well, I saw in my moments today that my best friend just bought a necklace. Cost her over 100,000. Why are you comparing everything with your best friend all of a sudden? Why shouldn't I compare myself to them? How can you compare yourself to them? Huh? Are you as ugly as they are? Do you have their short legs? Do you have their thick waists? Well, no, I suppose not. Right? So buying a necklace is unnecessary for you. When people see you, they praise you. You're so young and beautiful, with such a great figure. When they see your best friend, what do they say? Oh, what a nice necklace. They buy necklaces because they lack confidence and want to use accessories to draw people's eyes. You have absolutely no need for that. You're naturally beautiful and have a great figure. You don't need to wear any accessories. Everyone will be drawn to your beauty anyway. That makes sense. Then I won't buy it. But buy it if you like it. I was just analyzing the situation for you. It's not like we can't afford it. We have the means. No, I won't buy it. I don't think it's necessary.